let's check back in with Pastor Miles. Do we have you on the phone?
I'm on the phone.
All right. Oh, I can hear you. Thank goodness. So, we were just talking about a very, important topic here, because we're talking about the protests and the rioting that's happening in Minnesota, obviously in the wake of George Floyd's death. And, we were talking about how you have a close tie to police officers. Your father was a police officer in New York. Your son is a police officer here. So what do you have to say to people who've become upset with the system as a whole?
Yeah, let me give you context. When I was growing up, I grew up in a black neighborhood, went to school in a white neighborhood, and was discriminated in different kinds of ways. But I grew up feeling like at any time a white person could harm me or take something from me, and I had no recourse. It was about power, the power of our culture. And when I was watching the police officer kill George Floyd, and he was kneeling on his neck as he was calling out to his mother, and the cop had his hand in his pocket. And that cop does not represent all cops. Let's be clear about that.
Right.
And he doesn't represent all white people either. So let's represent that. But what he was doing was what his actions represented was this man, the value of this man's life is lower than the value of mine. And it sent a reminding message. I was in tears yesterday in an interview because it reminded me of the powerlessness I felt when I was a kid, even growing into my adulthood, because racism is about power. There is hate and evil, but it's the power to exercise that hate and evil over someone you consider less than you. And so what he was saying to the community was, you all have no power. What you're seeing now are people who are frustrated with feeling that and having that power exercised over them all their life. I don't justify what they do, but I understand their pain. And it's very unfortunate they're tearing up their own community. But when you take a human person in a community and a group of people all their life being told and reminded, you saw there was an interview, the reporter from CNN was arrested today.
Right.
He showed him his credential, and he was arrested. He has no power. It's like, we don't care who you are. And so in our country, we are in a very sensitive situation where that murder was so blatant, and for nothing to have been done to those cops, the system is telling people of color, you are less than, and there's nothing you can do about it. Just like the kid, Ahmaud Arbery, who was shot in the middle of the day for jogging down the street, and they didn't do anything for 2.5 months. And it took people rising up, saying something to cause the police to arrest those men. That should not happen, but that is exactly why they did it, because they said, we have so much power, we can kill a guy in the middle of the day and nothing's going to happen to us. And so my encouragement to white people is that you realize you have more power than you think, and your voice is powerful. We need to hear your voice. Racism is not going to go away by black people screaming. It's going to go away by white people saying something, because you have more power. But if you say nothing, you're going to allow it to keep happening. We need your voice. I was talking to my staff yesterday about this, or 2 days ago, about this very thing. And so many of them started posting, listen, this is unjust. It's wrong. It is wrong for a man to be murdered on the street and nothing happened. And then we call, and then we're going to try to make him a victim, like he a criminal, like he did something on Ahmaud Arbery, and which is we turn the victim into the criminal. And that's what's next. And so my prayer is that our country would get on our knees and beg God for mercy, because this is not good. And matter of fact, we're inviting all of San Diego, June 20th, the day before Father's Day, to an event called We Pray San Diego, where we're going to pray on the street, and we can't get in our church, but we're inviting all the people around San Diego, and we're going to put locations on our website, wepraysandiego.com, to pray for 1 hour on June 20th, 9 a.m., all around. We have mayors involved, pastors involved, and so we have to cry out to God. And I would also encourage people. I have a book called The Third Option: Hope for a Racially Divided Nation. To get that book, The Third Option, and read it, because this is going someplace really bad. And when the president tweeted out that if the looting, something about the looting and the shootings going to start, that's all. That is a recipe for something very bad. So I'm praying to God for mercy on our country, that people would bow their knee to Jesus Christ and get their life right with God, because the alternative is not good.
Miles, I have to thank you for your insight, and I have to agree with you, especially with what you just said there. By the way, a new Rock Your City airs this Sunday morning at 9 on Fox 5, and you are talking about the issue of racial tensions and a possible way to bridge this divide. Again, Miles, thank you so much for your time this morning.
Thank you. Yeah, and I will be preaching on it at sdrock.com Sunday on racism, so if they want to check that out as well.
Okay, let's check that out. Thank you so much.
Okay.